our first goal is not to get auto-relegated.
A 4-for-1. Meet Your Makers. They look like they might want to end.
Meet Your Makers, they are looking fantastic today. They are not out of the LCS yet.
The most important thing is how we hit playoffs.
That's a triple kill for the king of mids in Europe. Elements are unseating H2K and keeping their playoff hopes alive.
We just need to carry it on, and we might have a chance in playoff. Just take one game at a time.
Welcome back to the European League of Legends Championship Series, broadcasting to you live from Berlin, Germany. The crowd is hyped, as they always are here in EU Best Crowd World. They wanted to get in, take their seats, and take a front row seat for all the action here. And there is QuickShot giving a little tour to the tiniest shoutcaster EU, Alex, there with the Element shirt on, hoping that they can pull out a win again today. Fantastic. There is, of course, H2K, who will be looking to set the record straight after their loss yesterday and losing that losing streak, of course. And then finally, there Odoamne is setting up, and MYM also entering the building a little calmer, ready for the battle here and knowing that they absolutely have to get another win on the board. I'm EpicSkillshot supporter at the helm of the analyst desk, and joining me is our guest for the week, former world champion Lauri Cyanide Happonen, as well as the 80 carries for the Unicorns of Love and the Copenhagen Wolves, Vardax and Freeze. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, very nice to have you guys here now with just 3 games left to play in the spring split for the teams. The playoff race is heating up. Let's see where we left off yesterday with a look at the standings. Still alone at the top of the tables is, of course, SK Gaming, with Fnatic hot on their trail just to win back. The Unicorns of Love are tied up in 4th at 8 and 7, with the Copenhagen Wolves rounding out the top 6 at 7 and 8. Now, Elements are alone in 7th, and Meet Your Makers have tied Giants in 9th, as both teams fight to stay out of auto-relegation. Now, and of course, we saw some changes to the EU LCS with the introduction of patch 5.5 yesterday. Tanks in the jungle. There was 100% win rate for Cinderhulk. It was purchased by half of all the junglers yesterday, and that is compared to the 10% of junglers that bought the Juggernaut enchantment beforehand. It has had a fantastic impact.
Yeah, this item brings the much needed variety we need in the jungle to actually get to play different champions. I think it's really amazing. It scales really well into the late game. Like, the damage when it scales up is even better than Sunfire, and sometimes when you stack a lot of HP you end up getting like 800 or something for the price of 1.4k after the smite upgrade, so it's pretty insane.
Yep, very big impact there of the Cinderhulk. What to you guys has been the biggest trend yesterday? Because obviously there's the jungle items, but there's a lot of other changes that can cascade off of that. Freeze, what has been the most interesting thing for you?
Well, I wouldn't say interesting. I just have to hit the junglers a bit longer before they die. So nothing unusual, but besides the jungle, there didn't change much.
Vardax.
Yeah, I do agree with Freeze. I think the jungle item itself is kind of interesting, but I do agree that now that they're a bit more tanky, and with carry meta, you kind of have to hit them a bit longer.
Yeah, for you guys as well, that is maybe a little annoying. You guys did play each other yesterday in Freeze. I want to comment on that UL versus CW game with you first, because a lot of people expected that it would be a lot closer. What do you think went wrong?
We had a plan going to the game, and we didn't play it right. That's what I can say. We had bad decision makings, bad engages, and we got caught a lot. And we didn't go to the late game where we wanted to be, because they had 5 dragons at 30 minutes, and that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, tell us about your game plan, just getting all those dragons, and for you, a lot on your shoulders on Graves with the Nunu buffing you up.
I think that was a big part of us picking Nunu as well. With Nunu, we get a lot of early dragon pressure, especially when they went for the lane swap. We kind of had the opportunity to go for early dragon, and with time, we kind of got to play our own style, and we managed to get the 5 dragons really early.
Yeah, and a very important win for you guys as well. And then something else yesterday, Elements versus H2K. H2K was going for that winning streak. They didn't make it though. What do you think went wrong for them? Or was it just Elements finally finding their form on 5.5?
Yeah, they had this one terrible fight at mid lane, and when you get ahead with a comp like the Elements had, you can just run over the enemy team. Like I before said, the warding of H2K was just superior, but the team comp was just too strong and they got run over every time.
Yeah, absolutely. Froggen racking up a couple of kills, and then they just kept going with the Jinx as well. Well, that brings us to today's games. 1 of 3 each team has left before the end of the spring split. The Unicorns of Love will take on the 2nd place Fnatic as they try and close in on a seat in the postseason. Number 1 SK Gaming will face the 6th place Copenhagen Wolves, and Elements will face Gambit Gaming in a matchup where a win would secure Gambit's spring playoff spot. So, guys, just chilling here at the desk for now, but 2 incredibly difficult matchups, I should say. You guys did beat out Fnatic a couple of weeks ago. How are you going into that matchup?
I think for us, since we already played them once, and we actually did really well the first time when we managed to pull out a win, we're actually very confident, and we have strategized a lot before this game, so we're coming in very confident in this match.
Yeah. Do you think it'll be an incredibly explosive match? Because the way you guys both played yesterday, it could be over in 15 minutes.
We usually tend to play very aggressive, so I definitely expect there to be a lot of action in this game.
All right. And then Freeze going up against SK Gaming after yesterday's result, absolutely needing that win as well. They're still number 1. We saw some cracks in the armor at IEM. Do you think that they've recovered enough?
So far we're 1-1 versus every team, and we're planning on keeping that way. So you can expect a fight from us.
All right, we will see that a bit later. But before the games get started, we want to hear from you. So get on Twitter and send in your questions for our guest analyst, Cyanide, with the hashtag AskCyanide. So now's your chance, guys. Is there anything you want to ask Cyanide, Freeze?
Do you like the meta now?
Yeah, I've always been a tank jungle player to the heart, and I actually wish I could be playing right now, but I'm too bad, so...
Fardax, anything?
I actually don't have a good question in mind.
No worries, that was a pretty solid answer. For the rest of you at home, be sure to tweet your answers at LOL Esports with the hashtag AskCyanide, and we'll put Cyanide in the hot seat later today. Oh. Now, until then, it is time to get into our very first matchup of the day between Meet Your Makers and H2K. Now, considering H2K's hard loss yesterday, now may be MYM's chance to pick up a win and climb above Giants in the standings. Let's start by taking a look at that lineup for MYM. Of course, in the top lane, JWoww, then Horo, Corey, Mr. Rawls, Noxiac, and Yamato Cannon. They're tied for last place with Giants, 1-1 in the head-to-head. But yesterday, again, Noxiac was saying in the video, I will save MYM, but it seemed to be Horo once again that did really well for that team.
Yeah, Horo was just going in with no fear all the time, and Gambit was just so out of coordination. Like, the teleports were coming in always way too late, and it was like Horo going on Betsy, and Betsy being half HP, and then it's like, okay, let's try to turn this around for some particular reason, but it always fell flat.
Yeah, they got their lead and then closed out. Do you think it was more Gambit being not playing that well and MYM capitalizing, or did you see some glimmers of future hope?
Yeah, I think MYM did what they had to do, like just going confidently in, but like I said before, the teleports were really, really awful from Gambit.
Well, Vardags, you guys did lose to MYM as well also a couple of weeks ago. What do you think? Is this kind of the potential that you've seen in that team?
I do think MYM lately has been playing really solid. So I wasn't actually surprised that they played so good against Gambit yesterday, and I actually expected them to do really well. And I actually expect them to do really well now towards the end of the split.
All right, well, they have to overcome H2K in this one. Let's take a look at the lineup for H2K Gaming. Odoamne, Lulex, Ryu, Hjarnan, Kasing, and Prali. Their winning streak was broken versus Elements yesterday. They got the lead as usual, Cyanide, but actually it was one mistake that cost them the game.
Yeah, this was the infamous mid-fight.
It's going to come up in a second, but what happened here?
All right, yeah, so here Kasing just goes on Reckless, which would be good, but Hjarnan is completely out of position here, and even his position is not the best. And Kog'Maw is just not doing anything this fight. Reckless manages to survive, and Froggen gets free room to do whatever he wants, just going in, even killing himself, feed for the win to get mana for the ulti and getting a triple kill. And like I said, against a comp like this, you can't get behind.
No, indeed, and I did also feel like H2K was going more for comfort picks and 5.4 picks, and they were kind of, adapting to what was new. Freeze, what do you think? Is this just a bump in the road for H2K? A lot of people have said they might be the best team in Europe.
Well, I would say they were the best team at 5.4, but we scripted them an enormous amount of games, and they seem that they're off of the meta. They are unconfident playing the certain champions that are played right now. They don't know how to play versus them, and they're just seeming to be a bit off from the meta.
A little bit lost. Well, they did crush MYM back in week 2 in under 30 minutes, and that was before the Mimer JWoww swap and before Noxiac coming in for MYM, so it'll be a super interesting lineup. It's time to send it over to the casters, but first we'll get some insight from